Hello, Facebook friends, family, and YouTube friends. Michelle here with Sacred Earth. And today I wanted to share another teaching with you. I felt called to pull some cards for the collective. Anybody that might need a message, a teaching, something that could come through during this time we're in. We're about to enter eclipse season here. And we are in eclipse season, actually. We have the solar eclipse happening on April 30th in the sign of Taurus, and then we have a full moon lunar eclipse happening in Scorpio in May. So there's a lot of room for transformation and change during this time. We also have Pluto going retrograde. So this energy that we're entering in is a more receptive energy. And that's exactly what came through in the reading today. So I'll show you the decks that I pulled cards from. I pulled cards from this Native Spirit deck, Crystal Reading Cards deck, Angels and Ancestors deck, and the Spirit of the Animals Oracle. Okay. And so the message that came through today was this message about answering the call. And this theme was repeated twice in the reading because I pulled from the animal deck, and the card that came up was also higher calling. So we are all being called right now to answer a call, and we each have our own specific individual purposes here, our own genetic keys that we're encoded with that move us towards our higher purpose, towards our mission in life. We just simply need to wake up and activate and awaken to it. And sometimes we go down roads that aren't anywhere close to what that call is. But collectively right now, what's coming through in this reading is this collective energy of focusing on peace. Okay, so we have the peace theme repeated twice too. So we have peace came through with the crystal reading deck, the Kunzite crystal. And then also in the Angels and Ancestors deck, we have Peacekeeper. It says, let go of the need to be right. And then we have self-love here. So the call that we're all being urged to answer to right now is to cultivate a climate of peace. And some people may feel like, well, that's anything close to what's happening in this world. You know, when we're looking at what's happening with the war in the Ukraine and how... you know, life can be a little bit tumultuous. It can be the opposite of the peace that we desire. And so what I'm here to tell you is that this is the nature of our reality. We come into this karmic reality with these things that appear in front of us, you know, to help teach us, to help us to learn something. But oftentimes we miss the messages and we don't see it. So creating peace in your life is actually the result of your own actions and the cultivation of peace. So I want you to stop and think for a moment, what would create peace in my life? What action steps, you know, peace. We're talking about a really receptive energy here today. There's a lot of receptive energies coming through, but they're not passive. So if you look at the woman in the card, she's holding a peace pipe, you know, which is in the Native American tradition, you know, this energy of peace coming, this energy of, you know, sharing the peace pipe, passing it around in a communal, tribal way, right? It's a commitment to peace. And you see that she's standing very strong within this energy. She's got the buffalo behind her, the white buffalo. And this is a very abundant energy. So when we cultivate this energy of peace, we're creating more abundance. But it takes a commitment, and it takes this sort of receptive stance. So it's active and passive, where we're committing to peace. Okay, you see it in her stance. She's not passive, but she's receptive. Okay. And so we're all being called to answer this call of peace. Okay, this is ultimately where we want our world to go. We're not in this state of perfection, but we're striving for it. And so we're cultivating it. One of the ways we can cultivate peace in our life is through this concept of self-love. I love this Kunzite crystal. It's one on my list of crystals to get. It's a little pricey, but the Kunzite crystal is here to teach about self-love, okay? And so the peace that needs to happen, this higher calling, has to start with you first and foremost, okay? So it's cultivating self-love within yourself. And when you cultivate this self-love, pouring into your cup, cultivating the virtues, which are your gifts that you can activate, that will bring you towards these higher gifts that we have to bring into this life. But we have to move through these, we have to cultivate it. We have to, really try to understand what self-love is, okay? And it's about claiming your sovereignty and, not giving your power away to external forces, okay? So we can get really distracted by what's happening in the news and what's happening in the world with the war that's going on, and even within the little battles of our own life. But one thing you do have some control over is the self-love that you pour in to yourself, okay? And that can mean so many things. But it's not from this sort of narcissistic point of view where it's like, it's all about me, because that's a fear and survival thing. That's very much a very imbalanced root chakra. What we're talking about is the higher concepts, the higher chakras, this higher energy of self-love and pouring into your own cup. That's going to cultivate goodness within you, okay? This inherent goodness. When you have that self-love, when you've done the work of cultivating this, being a peacekeeper, coming into the state of peace is so much easier, okay? So this is all about answering the call to peace, but it starts within the individual, within you, because when you change yourself, you contribute to the world. You're changing the world. It's like a reprogramming of your inner reality is going to show the manifestation and the outer program and the outer reality. This is not an overnight process. This is something we've been trying to cultivate over many lifetimes. So a lot of patience is required, because when you're doing this deep soul work, it takes time. It's not something that happens overnight, okay? When you really think about it, we have been trying to cultivate and learn these things that are going to bring us into an organic existence over many, many lifetimes, okay? We've had to endure so much suffering over many, many lifetimes to help, soften up the heart, to soften up the soul, to make it pliable, to make it receptive to receiving, okay? Think of like, for some reason I'm thinking of like this, like a sponge, like a dried up sponge, and, when we put water into this sponge, it becomes soft and pliable, right? And so you're like a sponge and you're becoming, receptive to the energies so that grace can enter, so that you can be poured into, so that you can be, moved around and bent and shaped to be more malleable, like clay, right? Like think of like pottery, like the potter is forming this beautiful creation, but that hard slab of clay, it needs to be wet down with water, right? And formed and molded. I'm just thinking that's kind of like the vision that's coming to mind right now. So this is where grace can enter, okay? So this is happening over many lifetimes. So patience, and the best place to start is with this self-love concept, because those who have done this work are much more able to carry that virtue of peace and being a peacekeeper and commitment to peace. We're not perfect, but we're doing our best to answer this call to peace, okay? And So the Lion card came through. So these were the initial cards that I pulled right here, these 4 initial cards for the reading. And then I pulled some cards from the an animal teacher to come through, and it was the lion with higher calling. It says, you have within you all the courage you need to let go of the past and reclaim your majesty. You will find success and contentment with those by your side. Make noble choices for your life and your tribe. Okay, so this is about bringing peace to the collective. This is what we're all being called to do. And the word noble comes through. And if you look at her, she carries that nobility within her as well as the lion. You can see the energy coming through. Okay, and so contentment is another key word that came through. Contentment is pointing to peace as well. And you see here it says, make noble choices for your life and for your tribe. So that's where the choice comes in. Peace is a choice, okay? We choose it. Okay, so, and then, when we become more pliable, when we become more malleable, moldable through these lifetimes of learning and commitment to these virtues, this is where grace enters. And so I pulled this card. This was from the Cherlin deck. Oh, I think I forgot to point that out in the beginning. This is from the Cherlin Mystical Arts Oracle. She's an artist, and the one that's coming through is grace. And you see a mermaid. And this is where grace can enter. There's water energy coming through here. So we have the mermaid. We have water in the picture here. And it's this receptive energy. So this is about being within the flow, okay? Being in the, allowing grace to enter, allowing these virtues to come through, okay? So we have higher calling. When we step into this commitment to peace, this choice point, we can have more grace enter, okay? And I brought in this is just a card that I bought in Sedona when I was there, and it caught my attention when I was grabbing my glasses just before I was about to do this reading, and I was like, oh my goodness, like the energy coming through there. I have to bring it into the reading. I didn't choose this card from a deck or anything. This is by a Bohemian Dreamer, and it's the dolphin as a teacher, and they are great teachers of peace and harmony, and you can see the colors that I set up for this reading came through in that card, so that's why I grabbed it. I was like, oh my goodness. So even the colors that are coming through, it's this higher chakra energy. Okay, we're looking at the throat chakra, the third eye, and the crown here. And so these are your higher self is speaking through this reading and urging you to answer this call to peace. Okay, so this may have a resonance for you on an individual level, something that's happening in your life. Currently, there may be just a great need for the peace, or maybe you've experienced some conflicts. But just know that when we answer our higher calling, and this is not just about a call to peace, but it's about your own individual calling. What are you learning about yourself through the self-love? You're learning about your desires, your passions, what your soul needs. This when you act on those desires, when you act on your own energy, when you let go of programming and you're standing in your own organic energy and you're pouring in that self-love, you're getting to know yourself. This is going to activate you towards your higher purpose. Okay, you will understand more, like, what am I here to do? And go in that direction. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me do this reading today, listening to me, sticking with me through it to the end. I appreciate you so much. And I will be back with more readings. So have a very blessed and beautiful eclipse season here in the year 2022. And getting some more retrogrades are going to be coming in, starting with Pluto Retrograde. So you're just being urged to be a little bit more receptive, allow grace and flow and ease, and make a commitment to peace and your higher calling. All right. Bye, friends.